quite simple to make. All you need are the proper tools and a great attitude. There are 3 basic steps: grinding, mixing, and baking. Let's start with step 1, grinding. I start with 6 cups of wheat kernels straight from my bucket. And to that, I'll add into the hopper 3 vitamin C tablets. It's 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C, which is a natural dough enhancer. It's simply ascorbic acid. And this is what gives your bread that loft and that yummy texture that you love. So I'm going to put this in the hopper, and in just a second, I'll have my fresh flour for step 2. You know, one of my theories is that the reason people don't make more homemade bread is because they don't have the proper tools. I love my Bosch machine, and I use it every day in my kitchen. If you want more information on the Bosch, search the website for equipment or Bosch. Let's get started. I'll start with about 4 cups of warm water. To that, I'll add a half a cup of a whole bunch of ingredients. Starts with powdered milk. And then oats, regular oats. Next, I put in some vegetable oil, just a half a cup. And then I add my honey. This is a great natural sweetener. I'll then add 3 cups of freshly ground whole wheat flour. Now I'll turn it on and just let it do its thing. Once it's nice and smooth and bubbly, I'll be sure to add my yeast. Now, I'm very particular about my yeast, and I only use SAF yeast. The reason I love this is because the shelf life is so long. This can actually stay 8 years on my shelf or in the freezer almost indefinitely. It comes in a hard block like this, and you could probably find it at your supermarket. Once I cut the seal, it turns into this fabulous instant yeast that's easy for me to put in my bread. So I'll add that in, 2 tablespoons. And also, I'll put in some gluten flour. Now, you'll remember that I talked about the vitamin C. That was our dough enhancer, and that helps give our bread the loft and the fluffiness that we love. But if you happen to have wheat that is less than perfect quality and protein, and you want to beef it up a little bit, this gives it a great texture. You'll love this. It's just a half a cup of gluten flour, and you can usually find it at your local grocery store. I'll add that in as well. We're almost done. We have 1 more ingredient. You want to make sure to knead this, again, about 1 or 2 minutes until it's still nice and smooth. And then I'll add 2 tablespoons of sea salt. This is another thing I'm very particular about because it has the natural iodine that I love so much. At the end, I'll add 4 or 5 more cups of flour. You'll know that your dough is just right once you've put in enough flour that you can start seeing the bottom of your bread bowl. If you put in too much, your bread will get too dry and brittle, and you'll complain about that. But if you only add as much as I tell you in the recipe, you'll come out with a beautiful dough. It will be sticky once you start mixing it, but give it a good 10 minutes, and it will be this beautiful, beautiful thing. When you come back, you'll see that the dough has cleaned the sides of the bowl, and we're ready to shape our loaves. I don't know. 10 minutes. Okay, there you go. That's the one you want right there. Is that. Well, now we're on to step 3, and can you believe it? We only started about 12 minutes ago. Now that you've let this mix for about 12 minutes, it's nice and smooth and elasticy. It feels so good and it smells fabulous. You can see that it's cleaned all the sides of the bowl and I didn't touch it once. Now we're ready to shape our loaves. Now, in order to let this dough rise properly, you want to make sure to preheat your oven to 150 degrees. You won't cover your loaves. Once it's at 150 degrees, you'll take your loaves in your pans and you'll place them in your oven. You'll let them sit there for about a half an hour until they rise double and they'll look fabulous. And then we'll go ahead and bake them. Let me show you how easy it is to shape these loaves. We'll just pull this dough right out of our mixer. It should all come out in one nice glob, just like that. Now, I take just about a tablespoon or less of oil and I put it on my kitchen counter and I give it a good knead by hand. This helps it to be nice and smooth and it helps it rise without any stretch marks. Then I take my knife and I divide it into 3 sections, just like this. Let me give you a quick tip. I use what's called Vegeline. It's 100% vegetable spray. Unlike the ones that you buy at the supermarket that will brown your pans, this is 100% natural and it won't have all those chemicals and preservatives that we don't like in our food. So give it a quick spray. And we're ready to shape the loaves. All you'll do is you'll just roll them up like this. There is no science to this. Pat it a little bit in the ends and plop it in your pan, just like that. Let's try it one more time. Just put it to bed. The 3rd time's the charm. And there you go. These are going to go into my 150-degree oven, and I'll be back in a half an hour. Just a quick note. You've preheated your oven to 150 degrees. Once it reaches that, put your loaves in and turn off the oven. Later, you'll turn it on to bake. Now look at these beautiful loaves of bread you've just pulled out of the oven. In less than an hour, you too can bake bread from scratch at home. Gather the ones that you love and have some comfort food. If you have any questions about how we made the bread today, make sure to visit our forum and ask Anitra.